The resurrection of Lazarus, back from the dead. It was a day like no other. The air was heavy with a mixture of sorrow and confusion as the people gathered outside the tomb of Lazarus. Word had spread fast: Lazarus, the beloved brother of Mary and Martha, had died. His family, heartbroken and devastated, were surrounded by mourners. The town was filled with grief, and the silence of despair hung in the air like a storm cloud. In the midst of it all, a figure approached. It was Jesus, who had been several days away when he first heard of Lazarus's illness. By the time he arrived, Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Many of the people who came to mourn were doubtful. They whispered among themselves, if Jesus had been here, he could have healed Lazarus. But now, it's too late. As Jesus walked toward the tomb, his heart was moved with compassion. He was deeply troubled by the grief of those around him. But he knew something the others didn't. He wasn't just a healer, he was the Son of God, the giver of life. He had the power to bring the dead back to life. Jesus stood at the entrance of the tomb and gave one simple, powerful command: take away the stone. Martha, the sister of Lazarus, hesitated. But Lord, she said, by now there is a bad odor, for he has been dead for 4 days. Yet Jesus gently reminded her, did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God? With that, the stone was rolled away. A stillness fell over the crowd, and the air seemed to pulse with anticipation. Jesus lifted his eyes to heaven and prayed, thanking God for hearing him. He then called out in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. The crowd gasped. The darkness of the tomb seemed to retreat as something extraordinary began to happen. Out of the shadowy depths, a figure emerged. It was Lazarus, wrapped in the burial cloths, his face covered. But there was a glow around him, a light that could not be explained. The breath of life had returned to his body, and Lazarus was alive again. The people who had been mourning now stood in astonished silence. Some cried out in disbelief, others in joy. It was a miracle that defied all understanding. Lazarus had come back from the dead. The impossible had happened before their very eyes. And standing calmly beside him was Jesus. He had spoken with authority and power, and in that moment, the truth was undeniable: he was the resurrection and the life. With a gentle command, Jesus told them, take off the grave clothes and let him go. As the crowd watched, Lazarus stood there free from death's grip, revived and restored. His resurrection became a powerful testimony of the power of Jesus, showing that he had the authority over life and death itself. That day, the lives of all who witnessed the miracle were forever changed. They had seen the impossible become reality. Lazarus wasn't just back from the dead. He had been given a new life, a life that pointed directly to the power and divinity of Jesus Christ. The story of Lazarus's resurrection would echo through history, a reminder that no matter how dark or hopeless a situation may seem, with Jesus, there is always hope. And for those who believe, death is never the end. It's just the beginning of a new life, one that is filled with the light and power of God.